that we share, or also that we could share a bit more and try to cope with that, like welcoming differences quite a lot. I think in all these countries we experience a lot of differences in all the levels of our life.
Did you participate in any art festivals in Mediterranean countries, in other Mediterranean countries?
No, not actually.
No. What about other Arab countries?
If I participated, I mean, of course I visited some festivals. So as artistic director, I normally travel to see performances. I don't directly participate, or sometimes I'm invited for conferences, and so. But normally I just visit, which is also a very specific and privileged position, the one of the visitor, which is not the tourist, of course, but the person who is engaged into a research, and so travels in order to see what happens and to meet with artists. So yes, I could visit some cultural contexts in the Mediterranean area, more I would say on the European side than in the African side, where I would say that yes, my visit here in Cairo is perhaps my first experience of a relation with the cultural organizations on this side of the Mediterranean.
Right. Economy, now moving to economy, it has a strong effect, of course, on all aspects of life in any country. How did the economy affect the artistic part in Italy?
Yes. Yes, that's true. And economy affected and is affecting a lot the cultural and artistic life in Italy. If we look back to the last maybe 70 or 60 years, in Italy, you can see a lot that with the moment of a big economic development was also, of course, a moment of investment in culture and art. But on the other hand, that we had some extremely important, relevant moments in art and culture, also in moment of big financial and economic crisis. That's the case in these years as well. And I think economy affects art and culture a lot also because when economy goes with politics as well, meaning of course a financial crisis, which is what we are experiencing in the last years in Italy, and that's hard crisis of course, but also demands to politics to make choices and to be very sharp also in making choices about art and culture in a country. On the other hand, of course, it can be very heavy for artists and art organizers, but in moments of crisis you can also see a lot of independent projects that just struggle in order to exist and to say what they have to say. So I think the relation between economy and art is extremely complex, and perhaps we don't have to focus too much on the fact that when you are in troubled periods you can also be extremely productive and creative, but that's also true, I think. So the relation is not so linear, I would say. Of course, economy affects all the aspects of our life and the way we also deal with our life, and individually and collectively, I think.
Right, before going further, I would like to know, my next question to you would be regarding youth and art in Italy, but we'll first go to this short break and we'll be right back. Right, welcome back. Sylvia, I would like to know how does the Italian youth look at art? Are they involved in arts as they usually used to be in the previous generations? Tell me more about youth and arts in Italy.
Well, I think youth needs an invitation in order to get to know art and to appreciate art. I see this happening a lot, for example, with a theater workshop that we organize within the festival, inviting artists to work on a regular basis with teenagers and young adults in Sant'Arcangelo. And I also see it a lot when in my experience as a professor at the university. So I happen to teach in a university of economics, actually, where I meet students who are just approaching to their future and who decided to study economics of art and culture. So we are also approaching art, let's say, for the first time with this kind of intention. I think not all the young people have a habit to consume culture or to attend art events. But the invitation is extremely important. I mean, to propose them something and to give them a key, to give them the possibility to access to something, or also the invitation to be curious, to discover something. That's still a very strong tool that I see a lot around me in Italy. I could not say if, generally speaking, this generation is more or less interested in art than ours, for example. For sure, their life is very different. They also access a lot of information and cultural contents much more easily via the web, for example. Still, I think they also need a lot to experience something live or to encounter artists and to meet people who decided to dedicate their life to art. This makes a big difference, I think.
Right. Do you think that technology had diverted the interest or the awareness of new generations from art, that they are more interested now in the new technologies, in the internet and the social media? Or do you think that the social media can have a positive impact on getting the youth back to being interested in art?
Of course, it's complex. I think we see a lot the youth spending a lot of time with technologies and social media. Also because that's accessible for them, I think, and of course that's in every smartphone or laptop that we normally have. But I would not say that this can be a problem for art or a certain approach to art. On the contrary, of course, social media and in the internet in general can also be a wonderful source of information and a place where you can discover something or also get to attend or watch something differently, and maybe get curious about live attendance, for example, of a theater performance or a music concert or something like this. Yeah.
Right. I would like to know your opinion about the effect of the Egyptian Pharaonic and Coptic and Islamic history on arts in Egypt. How did you see the effect of this on arts in Egypt?
Well, I think I don't have enough knowledge about arts and contemporary arts in Egypt in order to respond to this question. In my experience, the cultural and social history is always affecting a lot the contemporary production of culture and art, but it can affect it in many different ways. I think Egypt could experience during a long history a lot of diversity, and as I said before, it's also a place where different kind of people happen to cohabit, to live next to each other, and I think this is normally an extremely fertile ground for art and culture.
I would like to take your comment on those photos.
Yes. This photo is a photo taken during the last day of the festival last year, when we gathered actually several artistic directors of theaters and festivals in Europe and in the US, who happened to be in Sant'Arcangelo in order to follow the festival, and we invited them to a public conversation the last day of the festival, and to a public conversation about the future of the festival in Sant'Arcangelo. Last year the festival was in a very fragile moment. Financially its future was not secured at all. And we decided to share some thoughts, some concerns, but also some visions and perspectives about the future with these colleagues who were there. So, and we had colleagues from all over Europe, and one colleague from New York as well, from the Under the Radar Festival, which is a very well-known festival in New York City. And we asked them to talk with us about festivals in general and the Festival of Sant'Arcangelo. So why do you come to a place like Sant'Arcangelo? What do you want to discover here? Or why do you regularly come to this festival every year, which is the case with many of them that are really following what we do. And so that's how we shared a question about the future, or how we can think about the future of a festival.
Right. Before going to further details about Egyptian-Italian cultural exchange, which is going to be my next question, I would just like to remind our viewers that we have a Facebook page. If they would like to send us their questions or suggestions, they can send it on Today's Youth Facebook page. Welcome back. Now, tell me more about the Egyptian-Italian cultural exchange. How can we further enhance this relationship, in your opinion?
Yes, in my opinion, the best way to enhance collaboration and exchange is to create conditions for people who work in art and culture to meet and get to know each other, and to have the time to talk, to exchange, to discover, to attend works of art together, to discuss. That's why an initiative like the Arts Talk series of talks is particularly important in my understanding and in my opinion, because it really creates, very simply, it creates a concrete possibility for someone to travel and to spend at least a few days in a context and to get to meet people. I would like very much to see these collaborations and these kind of platforms happening more often, both in Egypt and in Italy, for example. So how we can also welcome people from abroad, and we can create places and situations where we can really talk about what we do and meet each other.
Right. How do you evaluate your experience this time here in Egypt through the event organized by the Italian Cultural Center? Tell me, how do you evaluate this event in terms of having a positive effect on Egyptian-Italian exchange of relationship?
I think these kind of events can have an extremely positive effect in the sense that they can trigger something. So that's kind of the first step of something. And of course, something can happen and hopefully will happen only afterwards. So it's just a kind of the beginning of something, and then probably it's up to us, or I mean all of the participants of this series of talks, and also all of the artists and the people that we met here in Cairo, it's up to us to continue this conversation. But the event for me was very important in triggering this. And during the conference, the talk, we could also meet with an extremely curious, intelligent, demanding audience that was extremely interesting to meet and to discuss with. So the question and answer part of the conference, for example, was extremely rich and interesting, and that's quite a lot, I think.
What were the main topics discussed through the art talks?
Yes, I only experienced the one art talk that actually I shared with a colleague from Austria, the director of the festival called La Strada in Graz. And as both these festivals, as you can also see from the names, they have to do with the public space in different ways. We talked a lot about festivals and also about the duration in festival and how festivals can keep alive, and the relation between festivals and the city, and also the relation between contemporary art and the public space. That's something that we really focused a lot about, and that also was discussed further with the questions and answers afterwards.
Right. Now, Egypt has passed through a lot of events, I mean, throughout history. How do you think, or what do you think are the most significant events, or what do you think is the most significant era that you followed or even just made sure to know more about?
Yes, I mean, it's such a long and amazing history that it's really hard for me to answer to this question. And I honestly, I know that I know too little about the history of Egypt in order to answer. Personally, and also as I work today and I work with contemporary arts, I'm extremely interested in the present and the next future of Egypt. I think this moment is a very important historical moment, not only for Egypt but for Egypt as well. And so that's the moment that I wish to follow a lot from now on, and that I've been following in the past few years also. Because that's the moment where we can also, I mean, you as Egyptians, but also collectively we are constructing something, I think, the present and the next future. So that...
right, and now Egypt has passed through two revolutions, very recent. How do you think revolutions can affect arts and affect youth in a country?
That's a very big question, I think. I never experienced the revolutionary moment myself, and we all, I think, in Europe followed quite a lot the last years in what we call the Arabic Spring and the revolutions, and especially the revolution and the two revolutions, as you say, here in Egypt in the last years. I think it affects art a lot because a revolution is a moment of pure potentiality. So the very moment of a revolution is the moment where you allow yourself to imagine that things can be different from what they actually are. And that's, in my understanding, that's what art does as well. Art creates contexts and frames where we can imagine something. This is the point that I see as a very strong point of connection between revolution and art and culture. Of course, that's a very complex topic, I think, and there would be much more to say. But of course, revolution enhances the concept of change as well, of transformation. Also failure, probably, that's in the historical experience that we all have, and also to the concept of order, or how we go back to an order after a revolution, and what is this order about? Can we go back to the order we had before, or do we have to create a new order? So that's an extremely important moment in the life of a collectivity and of individuals as well, I think. I imagine that such big historical moments also raise a question about art's role and artists' role, and so I imagine that many artists found themselves wondering what they were supposed to do, or how art can take part to revolution or to a critical thinking about revolution and political change. Right, our dear guest Silvia Botiroli, many thanks for being with us. Silvia Botiroli, Italian director, visiting Cairo and attending art talks with the Egyptian artists and artists from some other countries also, here organized by the Italian Cultural Center. And of course, we're looking forward for more cooperation on the cultural level with Italy and with all other countries. Many thanks for being with us today. Thank you very much. Dear ladies and gentlemen, with this we come to the end of this edition of Today's Youth. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.